What's going on, operators, and welcome back to another video. Today I had something a little bit different planned for you, but we hit a bit of a snag. On Thursday I went to the range with my buddy Max, and we actually did a ton of filming in the middle of a snowstorm just for you guys, and then it turns out that we're not able to use the footage, at least not yet, and that's kind of my fault because I didn't clear it with the right people for us to be filming there. It was private property, even though it was really the range, the club where I mostly shoot at. They were very cool, but they just kind of wanted to get an idea of what we were doing and what we were filming and showing, and that is perfectly acceptable. So we're going to be having a chat with those guys and hopefully getting stuff set up in the future for being able to make some cool videos for you. But in the meantime, the same day that I went out to the range, I ended up getting this, which is a Mossberg 590A1, and it is a really, really cool looking shotgun. We're going to be talking about this today. Of course, as always, nothing inside here. We are nice and clear, as hopefully we're getting some focus there for you guys to be able to see what that looks like. And yeah, it's a really cool security focused shotgun, 20-inch barrel. As always, we're going to be talking about from the front all the way to the back. And yeah, hopefully you like this one. It's a new acquisition for me. I gotta be honest, it was a bit of a spontaneous purchase, but I'm totally gonna blame my buddy Max because that's how we justify these things to our wives. In any case, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so getting started with the very tip here. Let's talk about the sight. The sight up here is a pretty nice post sight. And of course, because this is a security focused shotgun, we're not going to have any chokes or anything included in the box with this thing, nor are we able to put any chokes in there. So you've got cylinder bore basically right from the factory. We do also have a little mount over here for a what looks like a bayonet, which is actually kind of interesting. But again, security focused, so that is kind of par for the course at that point. Now we have a really nice barrel here. On the other side, we do have a sling mount. This is a full metal sling mount as well, so super, super well made, and it seems to be really, really durable from what I can feel. Now there's a lot of that going to be happening on this gun, so let's go ahead and keep talking about it here. We have a 20-inch barrel here. This is going to be a parkerized finish, so again, a little bit more durable, and Mossberg claims that this is constructed to mil-spec standards. I don't know exactly what that means, but it seems to me like they have a lot of advertising on their website where there's a lot of dudes in military uniform handling this shotgun. So seems to me like if it's good enough for them, it ought to be good enough for the rest of us. And despite this having a 20-inch barrel, I feel like it would be pretty good shotgun for home defense. It seems like it's very stable, and there's definitely a lot of ergonomics here that lend itself to that purpose. Now, of course, in Canada, that is not necessarily the #1 reason why you'd buy this, because our laws are extremely limited. We don't have stand your ground laws. We don't have castle doctrine laws. Cough, cough, Conservative Party. If you win the election, that'd be really nice. But in any case, it's definitely something that would lend itself to that purpose very, very well. Again, you're not going to be really taking this thing out for hunting or anything like that because you don't have that customizability with respect to the chokes. So really only for security purposes, that'd be the only reason why you'd buy this, and potentially also for sports shooting, of course, if you don't care about having anything smaller than a cylinder bore. Now, moving a little bit further down, we've got this nice little grip here. Now, honestly, this is a really nice, big, chunky, oversized grip, and that's why I like it. Let's see if I can kind of show you a little bit closer what that looks like. There we go. Right, that is a Magpul grip, and you've got some really nice M-lock slots there. You've got them on both sides, and then you've also got a bunch on the bottom here as well. So that really just feels super nice. It feels really rugged. Now, the only thing that I don't like about this, I don't know if you're able to hear that, this is plastic. Of course, I wouldn't expect it to be metal. We do have some ribs here on the 45-degree angles here, so you can stick those ribs kind of in between your fingers, and that gives you a little bit more of, there we go, right? Gives you a little bit more of that feel, and definitely gives you a better grip. However, it does feel a little flimsy and a little cheap. So that's one thing to notice there. Now again, you've got M-LOK slots here, so if you've got yourself some quick release adapters like the ones I looked at in the previous video, then that would be pretty cool. You could mount a light over here or even down here. In fact, the M-LOK slots on the bottom tend to be a little bit more forward than the ones on the sides, just ever so slightly, by probably a few millimeters if anything. And you do have somewhat of a stop up here for your hand, although it's not a very pronounced one. So, you know, if you just have your finger there, that will kind of give you a reference if you're not looking where the handguard stops. However, it's not necessarily going to stop your hand from slipping off of this thing if you're doing fast maneuvers and you're clearing rooms and stuff like that, which, I know with the size of this thing, probably might not be the best thing to use. But again, it's up to you and your ergonomics. Speaking of ergonomics, going a little bit further down, we have a really, really nice Picatinny rail here. I know this is going to be a little bit dark. I'll try to catch a little bit of that sun there. It's very overcast here, guys, so I apologize for the lighting. But this was actually one of the reasons why I purchased the shotgun, because we have a really nice pick rail here. And for that reason, it just makes it so much easier for me to aim. Now, again, on the front, we have a pretty nice single post sight. And on the back here, we do also have a nice ghost ring. And getting a sight picture with this is really, really nice. It's very easy to see, even for a blind guy like me. So you don't really have to do anything with it. You know, it's nice to have that little tiny piece up here, right? The little, there we go, right? That little 1913 pick rail is definitely nice to have, but you don't need it. And yeah, you can just use these standard sights. Now, for me personally, I don't like the standard sights myself as much, and that's not to say that they're not right, you know, or they're not properly made or whatever. It's just I prefer, well, I'm a bit spoiled at this point, but I prefer holographic sights. They make it easier for me to see, and they give me a much better sight picture, faster target acquisition, and as a result of that, it makes me a bit more accurate. Now, yeah, that's a little questionable with a shotgun. However, it's just a personal preference for me, and it might be for you. In that case, if it is definitely going to be really nice to have that 1913 pick rail there, so you can stick whatever sights you want on there, whether it's a red dot, holographic sight, what have you. Moving a little further down, we do have a nice drilled and tapped receiver, and of course that is why we're able to put the 1913 pick rail on the top there, right from the factory. This is of course going to be for 3-inch shells, so that's going to be very standard. And the capacity on this thing is going to be 9, so you're going to have 8+1 in the chamber. And there are some other 590A1s if you're not looking for the Magpul version, which do also have a 6+1 configuration. And then there's, of course, also another configuration for a specific class of firearms, which I believe is only in the States. I think it's Class 3. If you're an American, please correct me, because I don't really know too much about all of that. But they do offer that as well. So if you're looking for a Class 3 firearm down in the US, you can do that. Up here, these are going to be pretty fine with the laws that we have. Whether you get the 7 or the 9 shot, you're going to be absolutely fine, because we do, of course, have pump action. No, I'm never going to stop doing that. I could sit on the couch and do this all day. It's just way too much fun. And yeah, you're not really going to have any issues with our laws here. Our laws speak predominantly to center fire, which this is. However, it speaks to semi-automatic and a removable magazine. So if you have a semi-automatic shotgun even, you're not really going to have any issues there if it's a non-removable magazine, although the Liberals are probably going to make a change at some point for that as well. But if you have a pump, you have really nothing to worry about. You can have any number of rounds in your built-in magazine here, your tubular magazine, and according to Mossberg, that is very easy to clean as well, so that's nice to hear. Now, I haven't taken it apart yet, but again, at some point in the future, maybe we'll get some cleaning done on this once we put some rounds through it, and maybe even get a range day video. So if that's something you want to see, make sure you subscribe. So moving a little further, as I mentioned, we've got a 3-inch chamber in there, and we've got a nice jam-free, again, or anti-jam, according to Mossberg, elevator there for getting the rest of your shells into your chamber, so that's quite nice. So on the very top here, we do also have an ambi safety, which is really nice. You're just going to slide it backwards or forwards. Back, of course, is going to be safe, and forwards is going to be fire. If I can get that going forward, point in a safe direction, And I guess we can talk about the trigger next. The trigger is kind of nice. It feels solid. Both the trigger and the trigger guard are full metal, which is really nice. I'll go ahead and give this another pump here. And let's see if I can take a look at the trigger here for you. Now the trigger does feel quite nice. There is a little bit of a take up of about, I'd say about 2 to 3 millimeters. Then you hit a nice wall, and then you have a very, very clean break, which I quite like. I'm gonna have to get the trigger gauge out here in a moment, and I'll let you know how much that is gonna be to pull. I don't think it's an adjustable trigger, but again, with a shotgun, that's probably not that big of a deal. Before we even talk about the stock, we do have another metal sling mount there, and then another sling mount right here. And get a little closer for you, right there, in the actual stock itself, which is really nice. Now, we also do have a nice exchangeable part up here. This is going to be your cheek well. You can change that out. Now, we do also have a couple of pieces here. As you can see, these vertical pieces, you can remove these or add some. It does come with all of them installed, but this is going to be something that will allow you to change your length of pull. And this little piece on the top, the cheek well here, you're going to be able to actually remove the original one and put in the heightened one, which is the one that I have here. So if I get a little closer to the camera here for you and show you what that might look like, you know, that is quite comfy for me to have that up there. You might want to have just a flat one that is that goes a little bit lower, which is installed by default. But once you're changing out the length of pull, you're going to be able to change out that little cheek piece to the higher one if you prefer. On the back, as expected here, you are going to have some nice rubber. Now you've got a hole here and a hole right there, and that's going to allow you to change this out if you so choose. And we've got some perforations in the rubber here. That's going to allow you to have a little bit more grip. And it does actually feel really, really, really nice in the shoulder. It really feels like you can get it in there. What's really nice about having those ridges and that slightly softer rubber, which is a little bit different than what I'm used to from Magpul products, is of course that it's going to make it a little bit easier on your shoulder. In this case, I guess they did that on the shotgun because, well, it's a shotgun, right? You don't want to have a purple shoulder shooting this thing, and I'm probably going to be out on the range mag dumping like crazy with this. So yeah, definitely nice to have that. And of course, those little extra ridges there definitely help. It depends on what clothes you're wearing, but in this weather, you're going to be probably either in a sweater or maybe a jacket, and that is definitely going to help to get a lot of grip there so that it will help you to keep your aim true and will keep you accurate, or at least about as accurate as you could get with a shotgun. All right, so the Mossberg 590A1. Despite the fact that it was a little bit of a spontaneous purchase for me, thank you, Max. It was totally your idea and not mine. And I hope that my wife is watching this part of the video because otherwise it's going to be a really hard thing to explain. But that being said, yeah, it was a bit of an impulse buy, but it is a really, really solid shotgun. It feels great. If I didn't mention, it's 12 gauge, 3-inch, and everything on it is just really, really solid. It's made durable. It's got a lot of extra stuff that I didn't expect. The sights are pretty nice. The 1913 standard pick rail is nice. The adjustment for length of pull is great. Having the extra cheek riser included in the box is great. The butt pad feels nice. Having a metal trigger and a trigger guard is also great. The smooth operation of the pump is a plus. The pump grip itself could use a little bit of work. I feel like it's a little bit wobbly, but besides that, it does feel nice. And it has the added benefit of having Magpul's own M-LOK system on the sides and the bottom for added accessories, which of course really suits the purpose for which this shotgun was built. We do even have a mount for a blade if you really want to go that route, and being able to put in 8 in the tube and 1 in the chamber is definitely going to be nice for not having to reload very often. If I didn't mention it, the sights are pretty solid as well. You've got the XS Ghost Ring there, which is really nice, helps you to get a good sight picture, but you can utilize that 1913 pick rail if you want to put a holographic or a red dot on there as well. So as far as customizability goes, this thing is really great. The finish is pretty solid. It's a Parkerized finish, so you're not going to be getting, you know, stainless or blued or anything else kind of, you know, it's Parkerized. I mean, it's nothing special, but it is going to be fairly durable, which is really nice. Now, as far as the barrel is concerned, 20 inches again, and you've got a solid heavy barrel construction there, but unfortunately you are stuck at cylinder bore. You don't have any chokes because again, you're not going to be hunting with this. I mean, you could, depending on what it is that you're going to be hunting, that nice 20-inch barrel will probably help with that a little bit, but you don't have any chokes, right? So, I mean, if you don't need anything other than cylinder bore for your hunts, that's awesome. If you need to choke it down to something like an improved cylinder or even smaller than that, you probably don't want this particular shotgun. That being said, they do come in a few different styles as well. They come in a specific one made for certain US regulations. I believe they call that Class 3. Again, if you're American, please correct me. I am a Canadian operator after all. And of course, we do have standard 7 and 9 shot variants of this M90A1 as well, both in the Magpul, which is the 9 shot version, and the standard construction, which are actually really cool as well, because you can put some of the shells inside the actual butt pad, which is actually really nice. The only thing that swayed me to purchase this over the original, with the same model number of course, is I do really like M-LOK, I do really like Magpul, and I really like myself a 1913 pick rail to put whatever I want on there, and probably the EOTech from my PCC is going to be going on there at least temporarily for now. So that being said, I think that's going to be the end of the video. I would absolutely recommend it if you want to go ahead and pick one of these guys up. Of course, I don't get anything from this. It's not like Mossberg sent this to me. I paid my own money for this. However, Mossberg, if you'd like to work together, do give me a call. I'm always happy to work with people in the industry to get the word out on good stuff that I personally would like to use. That being said, if you'd like to help the channel out, please make sure to like, subscribe, and turn notifications on so you don't miss my future stuff. And of course, join the conversation in our Discord. I'll link that down below. If you want to go above and beyond and really help the channel out, we've got a link to my Etsy shop down below, or you can just use the super thanks button right under the video to buy me a cup of coffee or a beer. It's absolutely your choice. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time, and I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, happy shooting.